Okay, we're just about to start. Welcome to the Ku-ring-gai Council Public Forum. The Public Forum is an opportunity to share your views on any issues on the council meeting agenda and on any other general matters that are important to you. It provides an opportunity for councillors to hear directly from the community, understand the needs and concerns of constituents, and make more informed decisions. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here this evening. Before we begin, I'd like to outline a few procedures in relation to this evening's public forum. I want to remind everyone this is a public forum and we must all be respectful of each other. I remind councillors of their oath or affirmation of office made under section 233A of the Act and printed at the front of the business paper. All attendees must comply with the Code of Meeting Practice and other relevant council codes, policies and procedures. This meeting is being recorded and the webcast will be published to Council's website. Councillors, council staff and speakers will be shown on camera. Attendees must refrain from engaging in disorderly conduct, publicly alleging breaches of the Council Code of Conduct or making other potentially defamatory statements. Any statements made and actions taken by individuals are those of the individuals making them and are not endorsed or supported by Council. Councillors, council staff and members of the public must ensure that mobile phones are turned to silent during the forum. Councillors and council staff must declare and manage any conflicts of interest that they may have about any item of business that is on the agenda this evening. A few reminders for our speakers this evening. Speakers cannot use or present any props, audio or visual material. Any written material must be lodged when registering or handed to staff. Each speaker has 3 minutes to address council. A chime will sound when you have 30 seconds left to speak. If you have a lot to say, I encourage you to submit a written submission. Each councillor may ask a maximum of 2 questions. Speakers are under no obligation to answer, but if you do, please limit it to 1 minute. Speakers cannot ask questions of councillors or council staff. Are there any conflicts of interest declarations from councillors? There are none. Okay, we'll start with the speakers. We have a number of speakers this evening. We've just made a few changes in relation to the speakers. So if I could call up Wendy Blaxland, she will be speaking first on community event We Heart the Arts and the history of Marion Street Theatre.
Mayor, councillors, staff, community. I represent the Marion Street Theatre Action Committee, and we have an event coming up. We chose Valentine's Day weekend for our event, called We Heart the Arts, because the arts bring such joy. This event showcases Ku-ring-gai's own performing artists, singers, dancers, musicians, actors, 105 performers from 7 groups. These include the local humming song choir, 50 strong, Kalara Scottish country dancers, Ku-ring-gai Philharmonic Orchestra, chalice singers, and Kathak Indian dance. Mostly not professional performers, but community members, performing because they love it. We planned it for outside in Selkirk Park, next to our Sleeping Beauty Marion Street Theatre. But it's going to be too wet and muddy, like Winterval. Change venues, quick, reprint the posters and flyers. It's now in the lovely Kalara Uniting Church Hall, though it's too small. Can't wait till our own Marion Street Theatre is reopened. Your own Arts and Culture Committee agrees the top arts problem is a lack of venues. Marion Street Theatre will house both community and professional performances. Yes, funding it is tricky. We all need rates to pay first for roads and rubbish collection, cost of living. And as a relief from the storms of this world, most people turn first to sports, and the arts lose out. But most of our residents also participate in the arts, and Australian society prides itself on a fair go. Almost 3,000 signatures on a petition to reopen the theatre. Let's do it now. Through the arts, our most vulnerable community members can express themselves. Children, older residents, those living with disability, and we can listen, understand, and learn. Besides, the new theatre includes a cafe where everyone can gather, all our many new residents from wherever they come, to share stories and learn to live with each other despite our differences. Arts feed the soul. No, not me. Do you watch Bluey with the kids? Laugh at ads? Like telling the family stories? That's the arts. And where do people train to act, dance, create cartoons? If they're lucky, in their local community. So come on Sunday to We Heart the Arts and our fabulous 100-odd performers. Have fun and realise that the renovated Marion Street Theatre will be an absolute treasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. The next item on the agenda is the mayoral minute number 3, and the first speaker is Adrienne McLean. So she will be speaking for the topic being Memorandum of Understanding between Ku-ring-gai Council and Ku-ring-gai Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening, Mayor Kay, Ku-ring-gai councillors and Ku-ring-gai council staff. I'm Adrienne McLean, the President of the Ku-ring-gai Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce are essential for businesses to connect and grow. Their key roles are networking, building relationships, education, providing valuable insights, advocacy, ensuring businesses have a voice at council and government. Without an active chamber, businesses struggle to get the support they need. Founded in 2005 by Arthur, the German baker, in West Gordon, Ku-ring-gai Chamber has long been supporting local Ku-ring-gai businesses. But due to COVID, the Chamber had stalled activities. In January 2022, a revitalisation project started and a volunteer, highly professional committee was put on. 2 top-performing sales and marketing executives, an international business owner, a financial broker, a bookkeeper with over 30 years' experience supporting local small businesses, and a business coach. Since then, we've relaunched with 2 events per month, over 21 events per year, with it running every year a Small Business Month October, sponsored by the New South Wales Government. Our events cover essential topics such as cybersecurity and ESG, sales and marketing, government funding for business growth, small business leadership skills, and many more topics. We've also partnered with the member of Bradfield, Paul Fletcher, who has hosted an annual breakfast. And on March the 26th, the member for Davidson and the member for Wahroonga are hosting a New South Wales Parliament House visit for our members to have a tour, attend the question and answer time in the government, and have a networking session there at Parliament House. Thanks to these efforts, membership has grown to 38 businesses, and we aim to grow much further. Our website hosts a business directory that really showcases businesses so you can buy local. That's why the Memorandum of Understanding with Ku-ring-gai councils is so important. It will raise business visibility, support small businesses through these tough economic challenges at the moment, strengthen local business advocacy. I fully support the mayoral minute on the Memorandum of Understanding and look forward to working with Ku-ring-gai Council to continue building the business community here in Ku-ring-gai. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. I'm just going to move a couple of the items on the agenda that were noted in general business, but actually are two speakers on MM3. Okay, so if I could call up Michael Joseph Adams, who will be talking about feedback on on how involvement with the Chamber and local involvement has benefited my business.
Well, thank you very much, guys. My name is Michael Adams. Run a finance broking business. I've been going just about over a year and a half now. And I was part of the revitalization with Adrian. My background also involves being part of the local community with Killara High School and the PNC, and also up the coast. So I'm quite involved with the Arana Gosford Chamber up there because our business is quite busy up there as well. But one of the things that I'm trying to do more recently is to build more of a presence locally. And I just wanted to say, number one, thank you to the council for that memorandum of understanding, because that really does pave the basis for which we can really grow in our community. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for that. And I'm hoping that that can also sow the seeds for a lot more involvement and other activities in the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Our next speaker, which is also on MM3, which was in general business, is Brian Rubin. Positive business experience from joining the Ku-ring-gai Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor, councillors and fellow residents. Thanks for giving me the forum or speaker for tonight. Just wanted to say that I have a corporate background and I have a little ergonomics business which I started about 7 years ago. And up until the COVID problems which we had, I never had to network at all. So I reached out to the Chamber. I attended some of the council business lectures as well, which are fantastic if you haven't attended some of those. And I was quite surprised at the calibre of people that I actually came across and the business associates which I met. And I've actually done a fair amount of business, which I never imagined. I look after medium and bigger businesses, and I never imagined that the kind of the business people which would be attracted to a smaller chamber of commerce would be my target market. So I was actually very impressed, and also the calibre of the people on our committee. I'm luckily also a committee member, and if you haven't come to any of these lectures or any of these meetings, these business presentations given by the Chamber and indeed by the Council themselves, I would strongly recommend that you attend. Just have a look, come and see. You've got nothing to lose, and you might just make some really good connections and do some good business, as I have over the last 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Our next item is GB6, which is Janet Harwood. She is speaking against the analysis of land and environment court costs, second quarter 2024 to 2025.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors. Thank you for allowing us to share our points. Analysis of court costs to save money for council must examine why legal challenges happen in the first place. The most important cause of court costs in Ku-ring-gai is the wrong rezoning for development. Now, this began in 2004 when the planning department refused protection of the last environmentally sensitive forest, soils and seed bank. Wrong rezoning leads to court cases when protectors must fight that rezoning. In Ku-ring-gai, court costs are historically high because the planning and development system is so powerful. When cases are won, they usually set a precedent, which is usually followed. But 2 court cases that local protectors won, one in 2007, Ripon Grange, and one in 2011, Friends of Tarahumara against the Planning Minister, failed to set precedents. The environment continued to lose, despite 2 cases being won. Thus, the environmental sensitivity of the local government area was not upheld. Many legal avenues to protect are ignored. But the protection of public land is crucial. In Australia, public land is called Crown land. In England, it was the Commons. This little ditty confirms what is said. The law locks up the man or woman who steals the goose from off the common, but lets the greater criminal loose who steals the common from the goose. Laws are not stopping the loss of the goose, which is the environment, or the commons. This hides not just land and environment court costs, but cascading errors, synthetic grass, and recreation in reserves. DAs coordinated without stopping cumulative loss, and tree removal by council and by private individuals to allow rezoning to take effect. This is what is happening in Pimble, Tarahumara, St. Ives, and Wahroonga. But by cumulative effect, it is also happening with the Tods. So the analysis of court costs is not correct without investigation of all the causes of those court costs.
Thank you, Janet. Our next item is GB12. We have Lynn Corey. It's alternative scenarios to the Todset project update, and they will be speaking for.
Run around all the time. Councillors, Mayor, Council staff, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I have 2 matters that I want to raise, concerns that I share with all my neighbours regarding TOD plans for our area of southwest Roseville, and secondly, a lack of infrastructure, which is a general matter, parks and public space and pedestrian and wheeled access to the highway and station in our area. But firstly, the TOD plans. There are many concerns about the impact of further development in our area around traffic flow, environmental impact, issues of building on steep blocks, water flow burden onto an overburdened creek and chance of erosion. But today I want to speak about safety, resident safety in the event of a bushfire and the risk of our evacuation being blocked. TOD plans and increased housing density in the area of southwest Roseville has the potential to put residents' lives at risk. Allow me to explain why. Our area is unique. It's essentially a closed circuit system with only 3 roads allowing an exit to the highway. We do not have side streets to get out of our area quickly. And only one of these roads is functional. That road, McLaurin Avenue, already faces significant travel congestion in the morning at peak hours, and the interface with the highway is a terrible one, only allowing a few people through at a time. This is even before the extra traffic, the extra development that we have seen on McLaurin, Corona and RSL high-rises. Our area will have more residents and cars accessing this road to get onto the highway in peak hour, and this will become a significant blockage. Bushfire evacuation will be significantly impacted with this, and we will see a block in our ability to evacuate quickly. This is a real threat. We have had a bushfire in '94. Our neighbours recall the issues and the panic and the confusion with this. And it was only a fortuitous change in the wind that prevented more disaster. Our bottom of our street was affected. Based on US communities, the experienced major fire events, COVA 2005, concludes that fire-prone communities and bushland interface should have a maximum occupancy rate dependent on factors above. They propose no more than 600 households for a minimum of 3 road exits. We are currently at nearly 500, and with the extra developments already done on Corona, RSL and McLaurin, we will be seeing another 200. So we exceed that limit already. In addition to Aqualand, which has already purchased a big chunk of the land and proposes around 500 new developments. This is tipping us over into a very risky area. Is that time?
Yes.
Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Lynn. If you'd like to maybe email us your speech, that'd be great. Next on the same item of GB12, which is the alternative scenarios for the Toddset project update, we have Janet Harwood, she is speaking against.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, councillors. The whole Todd and low and medium high-rise should be thrown out of this environmentally sensitive area. The alternative scenarios are as silly as the original scenarios. And councillors are unfortunately having to fight council's own decision. At the Common Forum, I asked the question, and people here heard it. Did the elected Minns government and the department have any input into the location of the 4 Todds and the low and mid-rise rezoning? And the answer was no. Then I asked the question, who made the maps sent out to all the residents with the rates in December 2023? And the answer was council officers. In 2007, this local government area was second to the CBD in development. That's not me saying it, that was published. In 2017, 10 years later, we reached 80% of the 2036 targets. And remember, I said there was no protection when rezoning first started. Where are the records for all the development that has been built? Any offsets that were made? And all the trees that we've lost? The whole Todd and low and medium rise should be thrown out of this last environmentally sensitive area. Why? No one seems to know that it is one of Australia's last environmentally sensitive areas. Its double significance is planned as a standard local plan. Wrong assumptions, wrong parameters. Councillors trapped by zoning in Todd and low and medium rise zonings don't know the historical errors. Yimbys don't know how the double sensitivity of this place, that's the built and the environmental sensitivity, has not been visible. The media beats up protectors and calls them NIMBYs. And anyone who asks for correction or objects and wants protection is silenced and threatened. I will not be threatened.
Thank you, Janet. The next item is NM1, which is Norman Griffiths Oval Upgrade Project Update. We have one submission that was written, and we have two speakers who will be speaking via online Zoom. So if we could maybe draw our attentions to the screen. Are we able to bring up our first speaker is Abby Denham, who will be speaking for.
Certainly, happy to speak. Is my audio working okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sweet, okay, thank you. So my name is Abby Denham McQuillan, speaking on behalf of as a player and member of the West Pymble football community. First of all, massive thanks to Councillors Pettit and Devlin, Councillor Devlin, for putting together this motion. I think it's really good to see that we've got some progress and further discussions taking place. Speaking on behalf of myself and the club, we're all looking forward to the day when we can all have an all-weather, all-player pitch available for the whole community to enjoy. Personally, I started playing football at the ripe old age of 38. Prior to that, I hadn't played any team sport for about two decades prior, and certainly had never kicked a football. Joining the club has personally benefited me for fitness, community connection and friendships, and also general enjoyment. My daughter plays the game. We're both involved with the club as volunteers. NG, as we know, is the home of West Pymble Football Club. During the 10 plus years of playing for the club, I've seen the pitch in all manner of states. Dry and dusty, wet and boggy, and when we're weather lucky, it's a playable surface. Many games have had to be cancelled due to the pitch being non-playable. For the past few years, surprise, surprise, it's been 100% unplayable due to the delayed construction. The all-weather pitch will absolutely solve for this, and we absolutely can't wait. Players of all abilities will be able to enjoy the pitch, kids, seniors, we've got special needs teams, so it really is an inclusive community space. So without the operation of the space, it definitely has harmed the club, and I think meant that some people have chosen to not play this game, and they've chosen other games. So by us having an all-playable pitch, all-weather pitch, it will make a huge difference. We really wanted to try and have it finished a couple of years ago. As everyone knows, there's been delays. Our season starts this year, the weekend of the 6th and 7th of April 2025. It'll be a miracle if it's done by then, but at least we've got now traction to get the questions raised and answered that we need to in order to get that progress happening. We really want it done ASAP. It would be phenomenal to have it ready even for the final season of this year, so that we can have a community all-weather, all-player pitch that everyone can enjoy. It'll also benefit the local businesses and communities. The bowling club locally has really suffered from not having the traffic that they get otherwise from the players during training time and playing time. So not only will it help our local club and people enjoying the game, fun, friendship, fitness, it'll also help the local community from a traffic and business point of view. Would love to know the progress on it, and can't wait to get the answers back that thankfully Councillors Devlin and Councillors Pettit have expressed. So again, massive thank you to the guys for raising these questions and bring on the completion of the all-weather pitch at Norman Griffiths. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Our next speaker is Connor Parsons, who is also online is also representing the West Pymble Football Club, as Abby was.
Hi there.
Hi,
Good
Connor.
evening. My name is Connor Parsons, and I'm the current captain of the Premier League squad at West Pymble Football Club. I've been actively involved with the club since 2002, and it's a privilege to be here tonight to represent both my team and the club, as well as the broader West Pymble community. Firstly, I'd like to extend my thanks to Councillors Pettit and Devlin for putting forward the motion, and your continued support is deeply appreciated. As many of you know, our club has been facing significant challenges without the use of Norman Griffiths. For the past 5 years, the Men's Premier League has struggled to attract top-tier players, not just from other clubs, but we've had players leave football altogether due to the lack of access to a reliable playing surface. We have not had a dedicated home ground for the last 5 years, and we've had to find new training pitches every single season. big rival teams for us, Linfield, Dallies and Northbridge, have all had dedicated artificial turf pitches and have been able to retain and attract a level of talent that our squad simply hasn't been able to match. Beyond the on-field performance, the absence of a home ground has also eroded the sense of community we once had as a club. The men's Premier League team no longer has a central place to gather at the clubhouse or at a home ground to bond as a team or to interact with the rest of the club on match days. We often play in Turramurra, far away from all our junior teams. The clubhouse used to be a place where players and supporters came together on Saturdays, strengthening the fabric of our club. And now there's a disconnect. The lack of a dedicated ground has also led to a divide between our senior and junior teams, leaving little opportunity for younger players to be inspired by their older counterparts. And that's not just my team, but that's their dad's teams, their mum's teams, across that whole weekend. If Norman Griffiths was operational, it would allow our junior teams obviously to watch those senior teams, fostering a greater sense of unity and community for the next generation of footballers. This also isn't just an issue for our players, it's affecting the wider community as well. The local bowling club down at Western Bull was once a lively spot for socialising after Saturday matches, and that's seen a decline in patronage over the weekend. This has obviously hurt them financially. We feel that lost connection too. Finally, I would like to express a desire to see solutions speed up and for the pitch to be operational for the 2025 season, starting on the 6th and 7th of April. It would be great to be back to our home, where we used to once win titles and unfortunately have not been able to play out for years. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor.
I have a question.
Yep, just one moment. I just want to remind people that the speakers, that you're under no obligation to respond to any questions from councillors, but we do have one from Councillor Spencer. So go ahead, Councillor Spencer.
Oh, hi, Connor. Just wondering, where have you guys been playing the last few years? I think it's under construction.
So we've been shopped around the last few years. We've had opportunities to play at NTRA, which has been fantastic. That's probably been the best that we've had. But at the worst, we've been stuck at Coolah or other nomadic grounds. We've been ended up training at Macquarie Uni, which obviously comes at a cost to the club and isn't ideal. But playing at Coolah and other grass pitches over the years has not been great at all. The state of those pitches halfway through the season is unacceptable, to be honest. And that's just through high usage on those. There's nothing we can do about it. But it's very unfair when we're playing other teams that have those dedicated artificial pitches.
Sorry, follow-up question. The one at Macquarie, is it synthetic?
There's a new one at Macquarie that's synthetic with the cork infill. Thankfully, we've been able to get on that recently, but for years before that was constructed, which, by the way, I think was constructed about 2-3 months. So extra concern why ours is taking so long. We were stuck playing on grass pitches there, which again, weather would ruin sort of halfway through the season, and overusage would ruin halfway through the season.
Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. Is there any other councillors with questions? No. Okay. Thank you. Our next item is NM3. Aluba Oval Facilities Upgrade Project. Jeremy Tucker will be speaking and he's representing Kissing Point Football Club.
Great. Thank you, Mayor, councillors, council staff for the opportunity to speak here tonight. My name is Jeremy Tucker. I'm the Vice President of Kissing Point Football Club, which is called Aluba in South Turramurra home since 1957 as a founding club of the Northern Suburbs Football Association. We're the largest football club in the local area and the largest community sporting club in the local area with more than 1,260 players. We are part of Kissing Point Sports Club that consists of 5 sports codes with approximately 2,000 members, and Aluba is home to all of these clubs. But the use and story of Aluba is far greater than that. The playing surface, as sketchy as it is, clubhouse and amenities are also home to a range of general fitness users, recreational and passive users, local schools, Turramurra Public, Warrawee Public, Turramurra High School, and is truly a shared resource. The demand on this oval and amenities is simply like no other facility in this area. All of these users have confronted facilities that have been in, to be honest, a complete and constant state of disrepair for many years. We provided a sample in our submissions to Council. We've been lucky enough to engage with Council staff over the years who have assessed the Aluba facilities and described it as the highest end of the dilapidation scale that Council uses. And as recently as December, we were advised that this work to upgrade and repair the facilities was to start in February this year. This request is not some top-end bespoke request for lots of money for one set of users. It's truly a shared resource, as I've just described. Not looking for sandstone carved out tiered seating. We're not looking for replacement of functioning lights. We're simply asking for a long overdue urgent repair and upgrading of basic and essential community facilities. So we've been asking, and we're asking again, I guess now, for Council to urgently commence work to make the facilities safe, to make them fit for purpose. They are far and away from being fit for purpose and have been for many years. Make them accessible to all, including women, families and people with a disability. Kissing Point Football Club is by far the fastest growing club for female players across the association. It has been for the number of the past few years. Our female players don't want to use it. They refuse to. The public toilet faces our canteen, where the pitches, the change rooms are disgusting. The beneficiaries of this work will include those 5 codes, families, public schools that I've described, and the broader community at South Tamara Shops as well. And it's worth noting that the last time the Aluba facilities and clubhouse were subject to any serious repair and improvement was the 1980s, and Kissing Point Sports Club largely financed that. We'd like the Council to back us on this. It's a simple proposition that addresses a clear, long-standing community need. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jeremy. We will now move into general business. So we have Lynn Curry, who the topic is infrastructure improvements, e.g. playground, improved wheelchair, pram, pedestrian access for residents of South West Roseville.
Thanks for the opportunity again. I actually thought this was going to be part of my other 3 minutes, so I haven't really got a lot prepared, but I will just speak off the cuff about my concerns. Once again, shining a little light on our little pocket of southwest Roseville. We are seeing a massive explosion in development at the moment. With the projections it's looking at, we're going to get another 500 residents in our little pocket. We have no park. We're going to see a lot of people living in apartment housing, lots of families, and yet there's no park for them to access. I have a toddler. The closest park that I can get to is up at the Arts Centre. It involves a 20-minute walk, half of it up a very, very steep hill, and I invite all councillors to come and see our little pocket and our hill. It will definitely keep you fit if you decide to walk up. I am asking for the council to look into the needs of our little pocket, especially in light of the fact we are accumulating a lot of apartments in our area, with one currently under build, one being finished and one underway at RSL. We don't just need it centrally on the east side of Roseville, we need it in the west Roseville in our little pocket. We also need better access to the highway. At the moment, the walk up the hill is quite treacherous. It's impossible with a pram. At the moment, the only way to get up the hill to the station is to actually go onto the street from Larkin, because there's only steps that allow you up on the pavement. And this is fighting a lot of traffic in the morning. I've had a neighbour who also walks her child who has also nearly been swiped by a car while pushing her pram. The traffic in that area is getting crazy, and yet we're battling it to get up to find a park. There are solutions possible. I have put this forth in emails in the past, and I would just like to see this addressed, and I understand that there has been a lot of resources directed at Todd Planning, so I do understand that there has been an inability to address this, but I'm here to say please look at our little area and give us a little bit more love. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Our next speaker is Drew Woodhouse. And the topic is TOD planning alternatives.
Good evening. I want to address the TOD planning alternatives, and I think there are 4 ways that we can improve how we run this process. So the first of those is around traffic management and infrastructure, which Lynn has talked to. The second around bushfire and bushfire evacuation risk. The third deals with cooperation with Willoughby Council, given that we border onto Willoughby residencies. And then the fourth actually is around potential conflicts of interest. So if we deal with traffic, you've heard actually 2 accounts now of the traffic issues that we have in southwest Roseville. The simple truth is that continues to get worse and worse, right? We've added 230 properties since sort of in the last 10 years, and we're talking about adding another 500 to 700. We've got to make sure we're building that into our evaluation criteria, because at the moment, the way we presented the alternatives, there was no comment that dealt with traffic, particularly given that the TOD was aimed at trying to put it within proximity of the public transport network. Our alternatives push it outside of that ring. Second, bushfire risk. You've heard about the 1994 fires that burnt up to the back fences in Finlay. We were fortunate that the weather turned the direction of that fire, but the evacuation even then was chaotic. We have residents that lived through it, and yet we've introduced more residents, more cars, but made no change to the roads and infrastructure. It was a big enough issue in August that Council put together its own fire simulations in its original response back to the TOD that Mark Schuster put together, and yet in our evaluation criteria that was shared for public comment, there's no reference to bushfire concerns, which I suspect and genuinely believe is a little bit misleading around the attractiveness of the alternatives. The third, and if we think about it, what's changed since then? Just the LA fires, right? Which only brings into focus how important and how real this risk is. Third, cooperation with Willoughby Council. So some of the options, for example, 3B, involves properties which actually border directly onto Willoughby Council, but they're on the same block. Now, the challenge with that, there's 2 challenges. The first is bushfire related, because Ku-ring-gai considers the houses on the downhill side of Alexander Parade to be bushfire prone. The ones that it's proposing for 6-storey development under 3B do not be considered. And yet Willoughby Council on the back fence says that the houses it backs onto are bushfire prone. We all know the fire's not going to obey the lines on a map. The other issue is those blocks, the 6-storey apartments that are proposed in 3B would be on the north-facing aspect. So we would put the residents from Willoughby there into permanent shadow. And I don't think we would make that choice if the whole block was within our government, area. All right, last is potential conflicts of interest. I just wish to raise it because I did query Council whether any conflicts had been raised, given that there are members of this Council who have ownership in properties inside affected areas. And at the time I was told that none had been raised, but they would be raised at an appropriate time. And I just feel like we're getting very close to an appropriate time for any conflict to be raised.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Julian Lercher, and the topic is the value of an off-site council workshop.
Mayor, councillors and staff, residents. Ku-ring-gai Council attracted a front page story in the Sydney Morning Herald last week. The story was in fact recycled from last year when the Post news magazine ran the same story. It was a tabloid sort of rabbit hole story which highlighted the very modest cost of an off-site council meeting. I wrote a letter to the Herald which wasn't published, nor was my letter to the Post last year. In my letter I said that as a Ku-ring-gai ratepayer, I'd be disturbed if councillors and senior management did not get away at least once a year to workshop council policies. The value of this kind of function is well established. From my experience, boards faced with regular large agendas and dealing with difficult issues get worn down by the volume and detail. They can also develop polarised positions. There is often too little time to think deeply, constructively, collaboratively and long term. A meeting away, which in my working life we used annually as part of the strategic planning process, takes people out of their normal environment onto neutral ground, which is far enough away to be free of distractions. The forum also allows conversations to run not just in structured meetings, but also informal sessions. I found also that it helped people get to know each other better and tended to reduce any barriers between elected representatives and management. Council serves a population of 130,000. It's a complex for-purpose organisation with a turnover of 160 million, balance sheet of 220 million. It's presently dealing with housing density proposals, including the TOD and dual occupancy imposed without due consultation by the state government. These fail to address infrastructure needs and the impact of traffic congestion, built heritage and the natural environment. What the Sydney Morning Herald could be asking is on whose advice did the previous Transport Minister demand the return of 9.8 million funding for commuter parking in Lindfield? As a result, a major project which had community support and which included development of new housing collapsed when the developer withdrew. That housing could be under construction today. For local government to excel, we need to attract and retain capable people as councillors. Yet councillors are paid a stipend. Families must endure their long absences on council business. I do not begrudge the council an annual workshop out of the area. As a ratepayer, I would expect the practice to continue so long as councillors and management are willing to invest their time in this valuable extra activity. And I hope in future you're not stuck in traffic trying to leave Ku-ring-gai to get there.
Thank you, Julian. Our last speaker is Janet Harwood, Entrusted Power, Eco Assets, Regulatory Capture and Leadership.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. These are big subjects, and 3 minutes is not enough to handle them in. Anyhow, kids will not survive the extinction of wildlife. And that is Ku-ring-gai's eco-asset that everyone appears to have forgotten. Anyhow, bush care in Sheldon Forest taught me what could not be learned in traditional universities. It showed how Australia is losing its most sensitive eco-assets. And public lands that I spoke about earlier, to what I call air-conditioned decision-making. You have to go out there and do the bush care to understand what we're losing. 2 quick examples of eco-literacy. The planet's biomass is 64% cattle, sheep, domesticated animals. Humans take up 34%, and the 2% balance is wildlife, which maintains the ecosystems that we need, and all species need, to survive: wetlands, forests, rivers, etc. Another example of eco-literacy. In this environmentally sensitive local government area, there are no reports to tell us how botanically and zoologically sensitive this local government area is. No development records or offsets to show the net loss of biodiversity. And no records to show that if a tree is removed, a DA is approved. This is why the Environment Committee is crucial in Ku-ring-gai. Its value is to teach people how to survive the ecological crises that we will be facing. We are trapped in a void of records. No records. This is regulatory capture causing ecological illiteracy. Again, these are big topics, and they need to be dealt with in a valuable place like Ku-ring-gai. So the Environment Committee is a very important committee. It needs to be a biodiversity conservation science unit to bring the local government area back to its original ecological value. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Now, thank you everyone for participating in tonight's public forum. The webcast of this forum will be published to Council's website tomorrow. The Council meeting will be held at 7 p.m. next Tuesday, and you are encouraged to attend in person or view the live web stream via the Council website. I encourage you to continue to stay engaged with Council and share your feedback. Thank you all for your participation. I declare the meeting closed at 7:50 p.m. Thank you.